Good evening, everyone. Welcome to your transfer roundup. We have some batshit crazy stories for you today, which we'll basically instantly throw some of them in the bin. But we also have updates on Mbuemo, Jadon Sancho. I mean, I'll just put the topics on the screen, probably, because that's much easier. But yeah, Mitrovic to Man United is something that I definitely want to discuss. We've got the updates on Sancho and Mbuemo, like I said, and also we have some updates on the strategy in terms of buying players like Ayden, Chido will be Martin, and that kind of direction that Ineos are going in at the moment. But we've got Sam alongside me to pick through these stories. Should we just kick it off with this Mitrovic one, Sam?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Just give us, before I get into the actual article, your initial thoughts when you saw this come out.
I mean, I sent one the other day that I think was worse than this one. And we didn't even include it because it's so ridiculous. Yeah, what was it? Let me just get this up. This was fucking hilarious before I even touched Mitrovic. Let me scroll through. Man United have made an approach for PSG goalkeeper Gianluigi Donnarumma after registering their interest in his services.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Like, we're one day into this window and we're getting out of control now already. Like, that's ridiculous. Who the fuck? Like, honestly.
And do you know what? Anyone who hasn't got kind of skin in the game or is relatively new to transfers or don't quite understand how they work, that right there is quite literally someone sat on a laptop and gone, right, PSG have just won the Champions League. United probably need a goalkeeper. He's young, he's very talented. Bang. That's it.
Yeah.
There'll be no depth. Yeah. There'll be no substance. No. Nothing at all. No. And you're going to see a lot of these over the summer.
There'll be no roots to the story where it's from a quote or anything like that. It'll just be we hear or rumored to or interested in, which basically means you can't validate it. So, yeah, that's what you're sort of dealing with. And on the Mitrovic one, it's from Ben Jacobs, and he's quite, in terms of sort of Saudi and Middle East and stuff, he is quite legit. Yeah. Like, he has got, like, he does well. So I don't want to sort of dismiss the source, but if the 40 million is correct, I think you could get a better striker for 40 million.
The guy's 30.
I would say. Yeah, I there's a better striker out there for, like, if it was like he's out of contract or something like that, then all right,
maybe
bring him in, back up. Cool, like, and we get a proper striker in. Fine.
Yeah.
40 million, and that's going to be a starting striker. Nah, not for me. But it does say considering, so they haven't made a move. They've not made a bid. There's not been any contact. So
let's read the article that he's put the clip of the article that he's put out. So Manchester United amongst the Premier League clubs considering a move for Alexander Mitrovic this summer. Al Hilal are prepared to sell or loan the 30-year-old striker, with the Saudi club currently working on a deal to sign Victor Osimhen. And just for some context, some stats, since he's joined Al Hilal, 71 appearances, 64 goals and 14 assists. He also had 14 goals in 24 Premier League games, and that was his best season at Fulham that he notched there. Obviously, he killed it in the Championship as well. He had really good numbers in there, but we're talking about, below 15 goals is his best season in the Prem. For me, yeah, he's a bit of a player, he's a bit of a brute, but why on earth would we buy Mitrovic, sell them our best player, and also facilitate a move for Osimhen? Like, it just doesn't make sense, does it?
I think United have obviously got a list of, like, strikers who may or may not be available and fit into the bracket of, like, we can afford. I think that's the hard thing. And they've got a list where if they get a certain amount of sales, they'll go after XY striker, Gyökeres, whoever. And then if they don't make enough sales or they don't make enough money, they've got B list of, like, other strikers. And I just think he's on the list of that B list of, if we don't sell well or don't manage to get Jadon Sancho, Rashford, Anthony, those kind of players gone, he's on that B list where if we're desperate for a striker similar to Vegos, similar to Odion Ighalo, that kind of thing, you go out and get him, Cavani, that kind of thing. So I think that's what's happening here. I would be extremely surprised if we A, submit a bid, or B, he ends up at the club. I'd be extremely surprised.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see it happening either. But what I'm more worried about is the actual transfer list. So I want to see what names they've got on there, because obviously, anytime we've spoken about Gyökeres or Osimhen, quite credible people, in the United world have kind of played it down and said wages are way too much. Gyökeres wants Champions League football and yada yada. So they seem a little bit out of reach anyway. after that, it was kind of like, well, it felt like we put all our eggs in the Delap basket, didn't it? And now he's officially signed for Chelsea pretty much, or just completing his medical now. So it's got to be someone else.
Yeah.
And I don't know who those names are. If Mitrovic is one of them, that's slightly concerning for me because, he might be doing well in Saudi. That's all well and good. But you've got a 40-year-old Ronaldo who's still doing pretty well in Saudi.
Yeah.
The comparison's night and day to the Premier League. So I just don't know what other names would be on that list. Maybe Sesko in there, but would we even be able to afford him? These are all 60 million strikers.
It's going to be interesting because, like, nobody's made a move for Osimhen, which tells me his wage demands are insane.
Yeah.
Because why would you not? Because he's clearly one of the best strikers in Europe right now. Why would you not make that move? Napoli have got zero interest in keeping him. They want him gone. Galatasaray can't afford his wages. No one in the Premier League's made a move. Like Arsenal, not made a move, need a striker. They've not been interested. Liverpool potentially need a striker. Haven't even sort of looked at him. So his wage demands must be insane. So nobody's touching him for a reason. And then Gyökeres, he's holding out for Champions League football. But how long does he hold that onto, like, before he gets to a point where nobody in the Champions League has come for me? Do I have to then change my sights? So maybe they're just keeping him on, like, the burners. Like, if his situation goes, oh, yeah, I'd come to the club or something like that, maybe they can offer him something. But I hope there's other strikers on that list. I know Shreyas has mentioned a bunch of strikers and stuff like Burkhardt and stuff like that we could potentially look at. I think would be really interesting. Go out and get a striker who's 23, 24, has scored a bunch of goals in Bundesliga or La Liga or what have you, and go get him. I think that could be a really good option.
Thing is, though, when I hear names like that, I always think like one season wonders. So, for example, someone like Iago Aspas in Spain has put up those numbers in the league before. Gerard Moreno has put up those numbers before.
Yeah.
Like, those kind of players just don't move the needle for me at all. I want a proven gold star fucking striker.
For example, you've got Alexander Soloth at Atleti. So obviously he doesn't get the game time because Griezmann plays and Julian Alvarez plays over him for the most part. So he plays most of the stuff on his bench. But for 3 seasons in a row, he's come out with 24, 25 goals. So that could be an option. He wants to be a starting striker. He wants to get start game in, game out. He's got 3 seasons worth of scoring in La Liga in the top league. They competed for Champions League, competed for La Liga. That could be something you go and do because he wants to start, and you could probably get him for a decent fee. I know Athletic like to sort of charge phenomenal prices for their players, but I can't imagine they charge too much for him. I think he's 25, 26 as well, so ready to go. That's the kind of deals you've got to be looking at. Those kind of guys where it's like, are they unhappy at their current club or are they not getting enough game time? Have they got the numbers to back them up consistently season after season? And can you get it for a decent price? It's a small pool, I grant you, but the players are there.
Yeah, well, you have to admit, so the Spanish league, for example, obviously Isaac came from Real Sociedad, I believe, right? And they bought him for £6 million, and obviously he's turned out to be phenomenal, probably the best striker in the league. But these are rare cases that we're talking about. I'd love to get everyone else's thoughts on this, by the way. So if you are just joining, please do get your opinions in the comments section and leave a like on the video for us. Man United saying, I understand beggars can't be choosers and all that, and we don't want to continue the portrayal of we'll pay whatever it takes. But if real quality targets are struggling to be convinced about our project, I would sooner us make them sign NDAs, and give them signing on fees than drop this low. Evening, Sam and Nick. Hope you both well. Dan saying we're playing bluff or not a bluff game. Samuel Mark Ingham. I heard Chelsea's still interested in keeping Jadon Sancho. We'll talk about that in a moment. Thank you for that segue. Would rather get Victor Osimhen or Gyökeres. I think you speak for all United fans who would probably say that. T2's in the chat saying, is it Al Hilal who want Bruno? Maybe they offered Mitrovic to go the other way. It is Al Hilal, yeah. It's the same team. So they've got a lot of stuff ongoing at the minute. They're trying to get Inzaghi, I think, as the manager from Inter Milan. Yeah. They want to sell Mitrovic. They want to bring in Bruno Fernandes, and then they've got the Club World Cup. I think they tried convincing Ronaldo as well to sign for him.
Yeah. The FIFA wanted Ronaldo at the FIFA Club World Cup, so they were either going to sell him to Al Hilal for a short-term deal or try and loan him to like some other club. Like it was a weird thing that was going on.
I think Tim99 puts in a really good, interesting kind of provoking question. Is Tony enjoying his time over there, I wonder? Yeah, because obviously he's signed. He's doing really well. He's been picked for England as well under Thomas Tuchel, over someone like Dominic Solanke who's playing in the Premier League. And obviously he's only just moved, and the wages that he's on, it would be hard to tempt him out of there. But I did like Ivan Toney, and I think you did as well, didn't you, as a player?
A striker. It should have been an option for us before he went to Saudi. I would have liked that option, but yeah, can't compete with those wages. You just can't.
I think it'd be really good as well in an Amorim system. Obviously played under Thomas Frank in a similar kind of setup, I would say. But yeah, so yeah, Mitrovic is the name today that's dropping. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. We'll have further developments on Instagram and Twitter in regards to that move. But on Jadon Sancho, Sam, Fabrizio Romano reported that Chelsea remain in contact with Jadon Sancho's camp over contract terms. Still no agreement on salary so far. Final decision will be in a few days. Outcome expected next week. If contract terms are not agreed, Sancho will go back to Manchester United with £5 million compensation. And it just got me thinking, was that goal in the final not enough to convince him?
It's obviously down to wage demands, isn't it? Because he was on 300 and odd K a week at ours, but obviously we don't qualify for Champions League, so I believe that takes a hit to 200 and something.
Yeah.
So obviously Chelsea are they're doing long-term deals, but they are not overpaying players. Like, they're paying in fees and stuff, but they're spreading it over 8-year contracts. But I don't think they're paying that high wages. So obviously that's the sticking point. Like, he wants what he's currently on, and Chelsea probably not willing to pay that. So that's where it is. So if they could come to an agreement, I'm sure they'll sign him. If he's just there for them, if he just wants the money, that's kind of on him, innit? Because he talks about freedom and he wants to play football and blah blah blah. Well, here's your opportunity, mate. All you have to do is take a little bit of a wage cut and you can go play. Like, they want you to play in the Premier League, top club. Like, you can go do it. But if he's just all about money, then there you go.
I think they would be fucking idiot. I hope Chelsea or anyone of Chelsea are not listening. I doubt they are listening to this. But I think they would be absolute idiots if they signed him on a long-term deal. Genuinely. After the evidence.
Yeah, it'll be a 2-year +1, maybe, I think, at best.
Yeah,
I think that.
But even still, I just it's such a. The evidence is there. He's been in the Prem for years and he's just not done anything. He has his moments and that's kind of it.
It happens so often, though, players who have shown potential and then never hit it. There's always a club going, we can get him back to that and consistently. And there's always a club who thinks they can do it, and it never happens. Does it?
If Chelsea fans, I'd love to speak to a Chelsea fan about that and see if there's anyone who'd be willing to keep him. Maybe there's a bit of sentiment there with him just.
They were proper cocky at the beginning, weren't they? They were cocky at the beginning, saying, this is what you're about. And then it disappeared quick.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to struggle to... Well, it's a bit of a rhetorical question because I think we definitely will. But if he does come back to United, I've even heard some suggestions of people saying Amorim might reintegrate him. Because obviously I think when Amorim came in, he was already at Chelsea. Is that right? I can't remember what happened now.
Yeah. He got loaned out with under Ten Hag, didn't he? Ten Hag sent him.
Under Ten Hag sent him. So Amorim didn't really get a choice on that. So I don't know if that theory is correct or not, but it's more the application and attitude I don't think Amorim would be worried with.
He expelled Rashford and Garnacho for attitude and application issues. Jadon doesn't stand a chance. Not a fucking chance. So, I don't see him under Amorim at all.
Yeah. Let us know, people. Jadon Sancho, do you see him coming back to Manchester United? How much do you think we'll get for him? And are we going to struggle to sell him? Because I don't think there's going to be many potential suitors if he does come back, especially with the wages that he's on. So my shout here, and it might be, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking? Controversial shout. I think he'll be back in the team next season. I don't know how they're going to sell him. I think if Chelsea send him back, I think he's going to be... I'm not saying he'll be a regular on playing, a lot, but I think players like Antony, Sancho could be reintegrated because I don't think we're going to sell him.
I think he'll end up at Chelsea. I think it'll get done.
I hope so.
It'll get done. Yeah. It'll get done.
I really hope so. Tiger UK, Mitrovic has literally been playing outside the top 20 leagues in world football for the last year. We're going massively backwards if we do. My damn saying, get Nick to sing the song, Dan. Frankie, do you remember me? Is he on about De Jong there? I'm not sure.
Yeah, because Dan put in any news on Frankie De Jong to United.
I don't even... Has he been playing regular for Barcelona? I feel like any time I watch Barca, I've not seen him.
He's played.
He had an ankle situation.
Yeah, he's been injured in and out of the team.
Listen, Frankie, I'll always love Frankie De Jong as a player, but yeah, I don't know. It was always a Ten Hag thing, that one, it with Frenkie de Jong, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think the humiliation to come back to United has already twisted Sancho's arm. He's going to sign for Chelsea. If you're trying to change the culture, it's a bad idea to bring him back. Sancho won't be coming back to United. He knows that ship has sailed. Freedom air. Yeah, right. Well, we're going to stick with the theme of wingers because we have had a Brian Mbeumo update again from Ben Jacobs. He's been a very busy man, saying United still intend to try for Brian Mbeumo even if Bruno Fernandes stays. And Mbeumo has interest from Newcastle and Arsenal, but like Mateus Cunha, he doesn't view European football next season as a deal breaker, making the race for his signature open. Brentford are looking for 50 million plus. Does it surprise you with those? You know, we hear things like they're not bothered about European football. You've seen Delap. Yeah. It seemed like he was very much incentivized by European. But Cunha and Mbeumo, like these are top players we're talking about here, and they're not asked about European football, which is good, I suppose.
Cunha's a United fan, so I think that probably had something to do with it. And he's willing to that. And maybe he thinks 1 year out of Europe and we can get back in. Maybe that's his thinking. And and Mbeumo's not been in European football ever, has he? I don't believe under Brentford.
No.
I can't think so. So maybe it's just not a thing. Whereas I know Liam Delap, all his mates, England, stuff like that, the people he's been around, he was at City, obviously, for a while. So that'll be in his mind. So maybe it's not in Mbeumo's mind as much as it might be with like a younger English player or a younger player who's been at a bigger club. So if he's happy to come and he's not asked by European football, that's great. Like that's the kind of players we need, and I'm down for it.
I think what we'll be looking at here is a sell to buy situation. I think we'll be hearing a lot about we'll be pushing, we'll want to buy him.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, oh, well, we need to wait for Rashford to go in order to fund that deal. Because I do think if you sell Marcus Rashford for 40 mil, let's just say, and then his wages off it as well, and Mbeumo's more than capable of doing that deal, which I absolutely love.
It's profit for Rashford. It's pure profit as Rashford because it's an academy, so it's not like you bought him for 20, you sell him for 40. Like it's 40 of pure profit because you didn't pay anything for him in the first place. So it pretty much doubles what you can spend. And if he's 50, then yeah, you sorted.
Should that be a priority at the minute though, considering we've still not sorted the striker situation out?
I'm hoping we're looking at strikers right now. I'm hoping Jason Wilcox is in meetings or flying about and talking to people, and scouts are sending reports. I'm hoping that's the case because, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get on to him later, Dan's favourite player, but with obviously Delap everything was in the basket there. There's not been much with Gyökeres other than that is United's dream signing. Osimhen, we're not going to do his wages regardless of whether the price is good because that's the new wage structure at United. So yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Dan's favourite player, so Gonçalo Ramos is another name, the typical transfer window name. That's kind of a bit of it's not getting full game time at PSG, and you know exactly why. It's because Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, and Desire Doué are just immovable players at the minute. He's got 18 goals and 6 assists in 40 games for PSG in all competitions this season. Only played 22 in the league, so he's not a quote-unquote starter, but he's played a good chunk or a good amount. I'm not sure on his contract situation or when that would run out, but is he someone who moves the needle for you, Sam? Is he someone you would go for?
Yeah, I think he's a good player. Like we were linked with him, wasn't he, before he went to PSG?
Yeah, we had a really good. Was it a World Cup in Qatar? I think he played really well, didn't he?
Like, we were linked with him, and obviously there was the infamous video that he became infamous for.
Yeah.
So I think he's a good player. I think he's a strong lad. Like he can score goals. Obviously, he's not getting enough game time in a minute, which will be a focus for him. Like he wants to play. So yeah, if we could do it for a decent price, like I know PSG don't like shirking on price and stuff, but maybe it's a loan with an option to buy or something. Maybe we could do something like that. I think he's an experienced striker. He'd come straight in. So yeah, I think I'd be all right with it. I've just seen from Romano as well. Apparently, these are crucial hours for Sancho. Decision on his future expected immediately. So it might be something.
Well, fucking please, Chelsea, if you are listening, please take him off our hands. and I'm sure we would be able to reinvest the 25 mil and his wages much better. So fingers crossed with that one. But just the last bit on Gonçalo Ramos, I was just looking how much they bought him for. They bought him for 65 million euros.
Yeah.
So they're probably going to want a good chunk of that back. You talk about 40 to 50 million quid. I think that's quite a lot for a player.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think too much of a risk for me.
That's why I'd say like loan and pay. I don't know what wage he's on. Like, or if he's on a massive wage, pay a portion of his wages and a loan with an option. Like that, I think that would be a good deal. Like he gets to play regular football. We pay some of the wages. He's not sort of upsetting the team, so I think that could work for all parties. Really, I think that would be. Yeah. I think that would work.
MRSFV says Obi's been doing well. We'll get onto the youth players in a moment. Tiger UK saying the fact we're having to sell players is disgusting. God, how I hate with the owners. Well, it's just a suggestion for myself because every single summer we always get that we're going to need to sell to buy, and I think it's very much the case going into this summer with Antony, Rashford, Sancho, all these players that they want to get rid of. If you want to buy a lot of players, they need to move on. They're not going to bring in players whilst they're still on the books. So that's why I suggested it, and I'm guessing it's probably true. Had a laugh today, Sam. People said he doesn't talk to Ben Jacobs anymore because he appears on Goldbridge's United stand. Okay, Brent is a clown, but nose and face brings to mind YouTube feuds. That's what he said there. So
yeah, I don't understand people who don't have other people on because they appeared on other channels. Like
it's bizarre. Yeah, I find it strange, to be honest.
We'll have like if the person is entertaining or they're credible or like we enjoy having conversations, then we'll have them on, even if they've been on the United stand or not. Like I'm not a particular fan of the United stand myself, but like if they've been on it, it doesn't really matter to me. Like it doesn't bother me.
I think Goldbridge as a person, I get why he grates people the wrong way and why people don't like him, and there is, certain things with him as a presenter which people don't like, and I get that. But in terms of what they've done with the channel and how big it is, I do think they are targeted quite a lot because of that. I think people just like shitting on him just because they're huge. But there are still some decent people on there who are quite good in their analysis and football. But I get why they rub people the wrong way sometimes. But look, we're one of them channels where, like Sam's just said as well, we're open to having people on, man. Like, we've had loads of people on already, but who have been on multiple different channels. As long as it's a good, solid conversation about football and we're both interested in the same things, then I don't know. It's all that matters to me personally. So yeah. Can't get that Ramos footage out my head. Convinced me it wasn't real, and I'll consider him. Yeah, that video is just enough to sway people away. Ramos has a long range of shots. Thanks for that, Dan. Appreciate that, mate.
Very nice. Very nice.
And cue the Ramos puns.
I hear he's got a really big personality as well in the dressing room.
Yeah, big personality, loaded with skills. Any kind of pun you want to put in there, please do go for it. Now, we're going to move on because Nathan Salt's put a couple of interesting things about the kind of youth players and the strategy going forward with Ineos. So Manchester United's hierarchy are using Ayden Heaven and Chido Martin as the sales pitch to other top academy players. Also, Jason Wilcox was hugely excited by Ayden Heaven's arrival at United in January. The technical director was central in persuading Heaven with a pathway to the first-team football to leave Arsenal, his boyhood club, for Old Trafford. But you look at those talents that have come through. That's another one as well. Are you surprised all these young gems are coming to United, considering the previous path, let's just say, for youngsters? I know Garnacho and Kobbie came through, but before that, it was a bit like McTominay, Rashford, there's other thriving academies as well. Chelsea, Villa, etc., doing really well.
Yeah, like I said, they must have sold the project and basically said, look, you're going to get minutes in the first team. There's the pathway, and maybe it wasn't that clear at Arsenal. Maybe it wasn't like super clear. Like maybe they'd be sort of in the dark about how or when they would get their opportunity or their chance. So that's why they've chosen to move. Obviously, Man United is still a brand. I know these players are a lot younger, so they've probably not seen us at our best like ever because they're 17 and 18, so they've not been around for that. But obviously, the project Wilcox is obviously a big influence, and Ruben Amorim might have been an influence as well, like working with that sort of manager. So yeah, but we've delivered on the promise. Like we've said to them both, like there's a pathway to the first team. If you play well, you'll get in. Ayden Heaven played well, and he kept his place, didn't he, for like a few games till he got unfortunate injury. Chido's had his opportunities. He's had minutes here and there. He got the game in Hong Kong, scored 2 goals, really good goals. So yeah, the pathway's there. So like I think I'm happy for him. I hope we get more of these sort of players. Sekou Kone looked good on the postseason tour as well. That's another one. We're still yet to see who's the other guy? Is it Lascelles?
Samuel Lascelles from Palace.
Yeah, not seen much of him. I don't know if he's injured or
see bits and bobs. But I don't even know if he's a regular starter for the under 21s or under 18s. Sorry, whoever it is.
So yeah, but the other three look like really promising players. So yeah, excited to see like how they sort of progress, especially in the preseason tour and then maybe sort of heading into the season as well.
You look at the price that we paid for those players as well that he was referencing. Like £1 million for Heaven could look like an absolute steal the way he's performing at the minute. He's obviously Premier League Premier League ready, should I say. Like he's got the stature for it, he's got the pace. He's a little bit wet behind the ears, but obviously he's going to be wet behind the ears because he's a young player.
Well, we were all thinking, oh, this is a youth player academy and stuff like that. And then every report, I think James Moppetis went, no, it's a first teamer. Yeah, like he's going to be in the first team. And as soon as you saw him in the first team, you're like, oh shit, yeah, he is a first teamer. He's
for
good.
$1 million though, like him and Chido, they could turn out looking like incredible deals. Yep. And again, like the profit you can, I'm not saying every player's looked at as a kind of business commodity, but if you do end up selling them down the line at some point,
you have to take that into consideration for any player you get. You have to, because not all like especially nowadays, not many players are one club players anymore. Like it just doesn't really exist anymore. I know there is rare occasions and stuff like that, but not really. So you have to think about that down the line. If you do sell them, you have to look at that. So it has to be consideration.
Yeah, agreed. Just something Romano has reposted saying Rasmus Højlund keeps attracting interest from Italy. Understand Inter are also considering him as an option for the summer after Juventus and Napoli calls in March. Inter explored Højlund's situation. It's up to Man United. And he's just reposted that. Now, he only reposts certain things like that if there's something that's bubbling up or something behind it, because he did it with the Cunha deal before that got announced. He does it with all things. So just whilst we're live, I mean, we might as well discuss it. Rasmus Højlund, price-wise, back to Italy, would you just make that just cutthroat decision? Just,
Yeah. Like I saw Gazzetta dello Sport posted something about him today, which was similar to what Romano, so maybe Romano is basically backing it and saying, yeah, there is something in this. But yeah, if he could get 25-30 million for him, just do the deal, get done, and let's just move on, because the idea of him starting up front day one of the season next year is worrying, really worrying.
Well, I've said that, and he's just posted Romano as I said it. So he's just put, understand Inter Milan have made contact with Rasmus Højlund's camp in the recent days as talks started for the Danish striker. As exclusively revealed 2 days ago, Højlund is one of the main options on Inter's shortlist with Parma's Bonnet and more. So this is a main option they're talking about. Right. Which, does that surprise you? Because you've got Lautaro Martinez, you've got Thuram there. With the season that he's just had, they must see something in there, like a player.
Well, he did okay for Atalanta, didn't he? Like, was it 9 goals or something? So he did all right. Like, he wasn't clinical, but like he did all right. So maybe he's just one of those players that he suits the Italian league. Like we saw with Lukaku, he went over there and he's just fucking stomped.
Scamacca was another one as well.
There's players who are just suited to certain leagues, and when they come to the Premier League or somewhere else, it doesn't work. And maybe they just think, in Serie A, he could be an absolute like star player for us. And yeah, if that's it, then fair enough. I did see, I've just seen the total as well on the previous topic. Chido Obi, Sekou Kone, Ayden Heaven, total 2.75 million for the three of them. That's a bargain. That absolute bargain.
Yeah. But look, I mean, I know we keep saying it, but this summer is honestly going to be the biggest. It really, really is. You think about Højlund, main target for Inter Milan. Rashford off to Barcelona. Antony's a hot prospect with the season that he's just had. Could get announced with Sancho momentarily that he's going to Chelsea. The players that we're going to bring in, Cunha's already done. We're looking at, other Brian Mbeumo, a midfielder, a goalkeeper potentially as well. It is going to be crazy, crazy busy. And imagine, hopefully, they've been planning for a long time, because usually what would happen in these kind of summers previously under John Murta and Richard Arnold is we would get to the summer and it'd be like, right, what are we doing? And then there would be reactive signings rather than proactive. So from the stuff that I've been reading, since September, October, we have been planning, we've been looking at players, and that's, I believe why the Cunha deal was probably done so quick, and they've looked at the kind of profile of players that we need. So I hope that continues moving forward. Bringing players in, go get Mbeumo in, go get a midfielder, get a striker for fucking love of God, and sell well. Please, 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 please.
No, like it. I think he said it. He was on the postseason tour, Omar Barada, and he said, "Yeah, we've done it differently this year because obviously they came in late last season, didn't they? So they didn't really have time to sort of plan and stuff. That obviously Dan Ashworth didn't come into like June, July. I don't think Barada started till July.
Yeah.
So there was a sort of bit of a mess where he says, "No, we've been planning it. There's been strategic thing. There's options. We know who we're targeting and stuff like that." So it seems like they're getting the ducks in a row a lot better than Ed Woodward and John Murter ever did. So yeah, I'm glad that if they pull it off this summer, then fantastic.
Yeah. Connor's in the chat. Big up Connor, saying, I don't know what's worse, signing Mitrovic or Højlund being our main striker again. Well, listen, we put a poll up at the start of the show, which had quite a few votes on it. And we put, would you even consider Mitrovic? And it is 50-50, which is slightly worrying for me. Look, everyone's entitled to an opinion. I get it. You might like his profile as a player. You might think there's a chance there. But the price that's being quoted, his age, and probably the wage he's going to be on, just, come on.
Maybe people are just so sick of Højlund. They're like, just anybody. Yeah. Get anybody else. Just get somebody.
Yeah, I get it.
Maybe that.
I get it. The pain is real with Rasmus. But if Inter Milan come in and offers good money, I don't know what the PSR situation is. People talking about 35 mil would be a loss. Maybe we need to get 40. Yeah.
Inter can, if they come in and they want a loan, they can fuck off, by the way.
Yeah. I'll take a loan with an obligation. I'll take that. With an option, you can get to fuck. No. If there's an obligation to buy for 40 mil or something, let's just say. Either way, the way you look at transfers, the way they usually pan out, it's over installments anyway, in it like years, of course. So we're still paying, I think, was it £300 million in transfers at the moment? Yeah. So, if they need to knock it down by 12 months, then I'm absolutely fine with that. But look, please do turn on that notification bell because we do go live at random times. It's hot news popping off at the minute, left, right, and centre. So please do. Notification bell so you don't miss a live. Also, drop us a follow, bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Every bit of transfer news will be on our socials, so please do drop us a follow. And we are getting closer and closer to 16,000 subscribers. If you look in the top left, it's 15,629. So if there's anyone new who's just joined and was like, who's this community? Who are these two lads? There's plenty more lads on the show as well, and there's plenty of different kind of varieties of shows. So if you enjoy it, hit that subscribe button. And me and Sam, we'll see you guys in the next one, yeah? Take it.